or salad when you share. Doe's is proud to be the premier steakhouse in Fort Smith at 422 North 3rd. Open 5 till 9 Monday through Thursday and 5 till 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. So make it a date night at Doe's for a great experience every time.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Whole lot of sunshine with us today. Our high temperatures this afternoon in the mid to upper 80s. Mainly clear sky tonight. Slight chance of seeing a shower or thunders from across the north. And overnight low will drop down mid to upper 60s. Splash or dust showers across the north on Friday. Outside of that, sunshine mid to upper 80s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by Harry Robinson Buick GMC, where you always get more for your trade. Exit 11 off I-540 in Fort Smith. You can shop anytime at harryrobinson.com.
Sterling. KERX Paris Fort Smith. The Bud Light Countdown is on. Arkansas football begins in 2 days.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown. How about that Heisman, Mark Jones? How do you like it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
Welcome inside our ESPN Arkansas studios for an edition of Halftime on a Thursday. This is really when the college football season feels like it's beginning. There are 30 Division I college football games on the schedule today. Many of them will be available on your screen, whatever it is you watch things on. You'll have a chance to watch a lot of football later on today. Of course, if you're waiting for the Razorbacks to get started, that's a couple of days away when Portland State visits Fayetteville, and I know the Vikings are on their way to Fayetteville today by plane, not by bus. Ty Richardson's in studio. I'm Phil Elson. Ty, you remember when Bruce Barnum, we got into this last week, Bruce Barnum, the head coach of Portland State, had initially thought of taking a bus trip with his team. That's right. They would have had to leave on Sunday in order to make it here in time to be ready and then shake off whatever cobwebs you get from a 4-day bus ride with an entire football team. But I think they took the smart way out and the cheaper way out instead of being Clark Griswold with a football team. It's actually a football coach with a football team coming in. So that's the start of our season on Saturday, but a lot of football games getting on today. Arkansas will be practicing today and tomorrow with absolutely zero media availability. No coaches, no players will be available to talk to the media. So Chad Morris speaking yesterday before practice and then during his weekly coaches show, which, of course, you heard right here on ESPN Arkansas and on hitthatline.com. Those will be the last words that Chad speaks to the media until after Saturday's game. So we can get into some things that involve some recapping of practice yesterday, can get into some of the stuff he talked on his radio show yesterday. We'll have Bob Holt joining us. We'll have halftime homework in hour number 2, and there's a lot to get to. And as Ty Richardson alluded to on his illustrious Twitter feed about 10 minutes ago, you can tell it's college football season when either one of us sits down at our computer and begins to work on the halftime rundown, which is 6 pages long today. Would you say that our rundown was about at the most 2.5 to 3 pages long during the summertime, and so now it's more than twice that size, which I guess means a lot more content for a 2-hour show? So, I don't know. I feel we could actually get a full third hour in today without any problem at all.
For the summertime and the end of baseball season, since we were talking baseball, a lot of that portion, I would ask you direct questions at you and kind of let you go on the answer. As far as this goes, we have content that we're both kind of talking about, both wanting to get to, and so I need to be more in-depth and more knowledgeable about that. You and I both know I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to baseball, and I kind of want to learn the best I can. I've learned a lot from you in a year, but talking with this stuff, man, this is it. We got college football tonight and the rest of the way, and I'm not just talking the 2 appetizer games that we got on Saturday night. We got it by the truckload all this weekend, and I couldn't be more excited.
Well, we're actually going to be making a pick later on. I feel like that's when football season really starts, when radio hosts start making their game picks against the spread. We'll pick one of those 30 games during our final segment as we kick off our picks. We still don't know what the winner gets to see the loser do once we get into January, but we're still taking your advice and your ideas on what the loser is going to have to do for our pick segments. And by the way, if you want to get with us today on the Cherokee Casino Hotline, the number is 877-377-6963. Give us a call, give us a text. If you shoot a text our way, give us your name and your location, and we can read that over the air as well. All right, let's get right to the stuff that was noticed at practice yesterday. And more than anything, you're talking about the players that are not at practice or the ones that returned to practice. So the good word is that Colton Jackson is back in full contact. He will be there as the starting left tackle Saturday. That is very good news, which means Byron Cunningham will be back at right guard, and you don't have any true freshmen starting the first game of the season. So that's probably the best news you see. Also, Ty, we've been paying close attention to the situation with Trey Knox, who missed 8 practices with an undisclosed illness. I guess you could look at what happened yesterday as half good and half bad news, because Trey was at practice. He was dressed out. The team wore shoulder pads, thigh pads, and helmets. But Knox didn't take any reps, not a single rep during practice. So that does leave his status for Saturday's game up in the air, although it does seem that Chad Morris is going back a little bit on what he said about every player needing to be at a Wednesday practice in order to play in a Saturday game. He is expecting that Trey should be available for practice sometime today or tomorrow, and if he is, they still might start him on Saturday. But, this is not a coach's decision. This is all about the medical staff deciding when Trey is ready to get back to practice. And I think that's probably the debut everybody's being probably the most excited about, with Knox's size and his ability to make what we expect to see, great big-time plays. But I still, if you see Knox on the field on Saturday, I imagine it would be in somewhat of a limited capacity.
You don't want a James Franklin situation. For those who are not aware of what I'm talking about, and a former doctor, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, accused James Franklin and Penn State for trying to rush players back early. Now, that's been refuted by several of James Franklin's players. So I don't know how much truth there is to that. But you never want to be in that situation as a coach where you're trying to rush a kid back when he's not ready. Phil, here's what Chad said about Trey Knox yesterday.
Trey is not in today. Won't practice today. We hope. We keep being told it's coming. So we anticipate him being back out tomorrow. So, but he'll be around today.
Could he play if he's tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
Good follow up from Tom there. Good follow up from Tom, and kind of like you were talking about, if he does indeed play this weekend, it doesn't necessarily have to be every single snap, like a majority of the time, but you do want him to get a little in-game experience before he travels to Oxford to take on the Rebels next week.
Well, you can tell that Chad Morris is in the same situation, I think, as everybody else is. When referring to the situation with Knox, even the coaching staff is waiting to be told when he's available to practice. So hopefully that will be today. Although since there's no media availability, is anybody going to know whether or not Knox was available for practice, unless you got a source inside practice? And really, there haven't been a lot of leaks coming out from those practices. So maybe we'll find that out sometime later on today if Knox was there. But C.J. O'Grady was at practice, not in full contact. Morris did say that he hit the sled a few times when practice was done, so he was in a non-contact green jersey. But if he's hitting the sled, maybe in the next 2 days he can get back into a full jersey for practice and then get out there and catch some balls and knock some defenders loose in the opening game of the season. Eric Gregory, defensive end, remained in green as he recovers from a high ankle sprain, so no contact for Eric Gregory. Nick Starkel was not at practice yesterday, so John Stephen Jones ran with the twos. Starkel's very good friend Luke Laufenberg had passed away last week from leukemia, and so he was away at Laufenberg's funeral. By the way, that is Babe Laufenberg's son, the former Cowboys backup quarterback and current radio analyst. So certainly I'm sure that family is hurting, as Starkel is too. But I assume Starkel is back in practice today, which means he'll be running with the twos. And, of course, Ben Hicks, QB1 for Week 1, and I think Week 2 as well, continues to run with the ones.
And I know there were some fans freaking out yesterday when they saw that. They just saw the headline, Starkel wasn't at practice or whatever, so we're giving you actual concrete reason why he wasn't at practice. There's nothing to be worried about if you're an Arkansas fan. The guy was just attending one of his good friends from high school's funeral.
Punt returner that was initially going to be Deion Stewart, but of course the senior is out with a knee injury for the year, and so Traylon Burks is expected to be the lead punt returner, but he was catching punts side by side with Rakeem Boyd, and Burks also did some blocking for Boyd as well. Now, as a wide receiver, you're going to have to do some blocking. But as one of the more exciting freshmen on the club, having Burks block on the punt return team is an interesting choice. Jalen Catalon and Chase Hayden also practiced catching him. And, of course, what's the most important thing about punt returns, Ty?
Catching the football.
Catching the darn football, which I'm assuming Burks is pretty darn good at. I know we have reports on his extremely large hands. And I think catching those punt returns, most important thing you can get going about that. So that's the stuff that went on in practice yesterday. But of course, you've had what, about 4 scrimmages, 4.5. Even Chad Morris said the Beanie Bowl was just sort of like a half scrimmage, more about getting teams on and off the field and situations. But I talked with Dave Van Horn about this when you're coming to the end of scrimmage season for baseball in early February. It's one thing to be up there facing a good pitcher, even if he's one of your pitchers. But when you're talking about another opponent that is game planning for you, and you're talking about finally doing what you're there to do, this has got to be a team, along with every other team in the country. I mean, not even just college football, but the high school teams as well. They're just ready to get out there and face somebody that's wearing a different jersey. So here's Chad Morris on the team just being ready for a game.
Yesterday was a good day. Again, I think everybody at this point is just all across the country. People are focused in, ready to go. They're tired of hitting on each other. The redundancy of camp is wearing off, and so they're just ready for a game.
And kind of like you were saying about Arkansas baseball, when you play on that team, you go up against some of the best dudes in the country practice after practice. The same can't be said about Arkansas football. Now, you hope at some point they can have that comparison, but it's not at that point right now. So now you get to test what you've been working all offseason for, not exactly this Saturday because it's an inferior opponent, but it sets the tone for the season. If you blow these guys out of the water, that at least gives you some confidence heading into Oxford. You're going to need a lot more than confidence to beat the Rebels, but you still need to have confidence heading into Week 2 in order to get that first SEC win on the road.
What was it that Coach Morris said about something wearing off from practice? The joy, was it? I don't even remember the word he said, but it sounded like something about wearing off when it comes to practice now. And really, I mean, the shine wore off of fall/summer/practice/camp a long time ago. This has just been it's felt like an extremely long month. I think fans would agree that if the players are ready to watch to hit somebody that's wearing a different colored jersey, I think the fans are probably more ready to watch that happen with the dearth of real information coming out of practice/camp.
And that's a good question to ponder, Phil. Who's more excited for Saturday? Is it the players or the fans? And I think that's a legitimate question you could ask because the fans have had to endure the torment all offseason of being called the laughingstock of the SEC, and that's been associated with the players as well. And all they've heard all offseason is you guys are a joke, you're never going to get it done here, blah, blah, blah. So both the fan base and the players themselves and the coaching staff are just energized to get this season going. And you know as well as I do, the season really doesn't kick off until they go to Week 2 in Oxford.
Well, and I would imagine that the players are probably more overall excited about it just because there's got to be a cautious excitement from the fan base. You know, and for me, you feel like the Arkansas coach, that's not just Arkansas, it's most coaching staffs, it's most players at this time of the year. in August, especially for those who have won starting jobs, you've got to feel good about whatever you accomplished at camp in a positive way, and you got to be excited about starting the football season. I think every team, every coach, every player, even if they realistically look at their roster and think, you know what, we might be mediocre at best, they're trying to put their best foot forward and take things in more of an optimistic viewpoint. Now, look at the players who stuck around for Chad Morris' second year, those who bought in as high schoolers and are part of this recruiting class. They have to be feeling, I don't know if unbridled optimism is the term to use, but they have to be feeling optimistic about this season and taking the program a step forward and where they'd like to take the program in the future. For fans, I think you're probably more cautious with your optimism in a wait-and-see approach. And it's more about a wait-and-see for what happens next weekend in Oxford against Ole Miss before you really start to think, you know what, maybe they've got things going in the right direction. Because I don't think this Saturday is going to tell you one way or the other. The best thing that can happen from this Saturday is to cover the spread, to blow out Portland State, and for 0 injuries to occur. Absolutely 0 injuries against a completely overmatched FCS opponent.
Nikki Chavanel of Rivals.com just texted me. She said she was also talking about me joking, the rundown being 6 pages. She's saying recruiting is starting to pick up as well. And I know Arkansas fans are starting to get excited about that because you're not where you were at this point last season in terms of where your recruiting class is. So hopefully, if you're Arkansas, you start winning some games early on. You pick up some traction, you pick up some pace, and you pick up some of these kids' hard commits. And, again, they're just verbal commits. You're not going to sign until early signing period in December. And hopefully that picks up as well because I think people right now, Phil, are a little disappointed in where the recruiting's at compared to where it was at this point last year and where it ended last year at about 22 or so.
Well, I mean, so we just asked the question, who's more excited or more optimistic about what's happening, what they think might happen this season? And we use 2 categories there. Those who are on the team, players, coaches, and those who are watching, media and fans. Well, what about the third aspect, recruits? That's another group of people that are pretty important about being excited about what's going on at Arkansas for the upcoming season and in the future. And what has Nikki told us time and time again? And we've heard from other recruiting experts that while Chad Morris was able to sell this year's recruiting class on playing time right now, that you got a chance to get on the field and play right now as a true freshman. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is the 2 deep. There are 9 true freshmen on that 2 deep. So that's the sales. That was the sales pitch. That can't necessarily be the sales pitch now. So it is, just like Nikki has said, it's a wait-and-see approach. And I think recruits are kind of looking at it the same way as fans are. They're waiting to see what this program looks like in the upcoming few weeks before, any lists are narrowed down and Arkansas remains on those lists or any commits occur. So, definitely that's one thing I hadn't thought about. As the college football season starts, the high school football season is now in its first week, and recruiting season is picking up as well. And for a football program, Ty, that is at the very least, at least 1 or 2 more really good recruiting classes away from being a truly competitive SEC West team, those recruits might actually be the most important part of the excitement factor.
Charlie seems excited for the season. He texted in. He's taking lunches again. He's stuffing down a foot lawn and listening to his car to us for the first time in a while. He said, Hogs 56, Portland State 10. He doesn't want Rakeem Boyd returning punts. He needs him toting the rock and not risking injury on returns. Well, Charlie, I got to remind you, man, the guys that used to return kicks are the names of Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. I know that is kind of unorthodox in today's game, but Arkansas had pretty good special team success when they were returning kicks back in the day. And you think about a guy like Dennis Johnson or Joe Adams, like you'd want to use your weapons. I get being scared about injuries, Phil, but at the same time, they're going to want to do it. The coaches want to have weapons all over the field in all parts of the game, not just on offense or defense. But with Arkansas's lack of special teams playmakers these last few years, I think you take advantage of Rakeem Boyd and Traylon Burks. As long as they're efficient catching the football, I think you got to take advantage of it.
Can I tell Charlie, I'm very pleased that you are taking lunches again. I'm sure your stomach is very happy with that idea. And we're happy to have this show halftime during your lunch so you could sit there and stuff a foot-long Subway down your gob. I mean, that's the actual term he used on his tweet, gob. I've never heard a mouth or an esophagus referred to as a gob
I don't think I have either.
No, that's a new one for me. And by the way, gob is defined as a lump or clot of a slimy or viscous substance. So perhaps that could be what's going on in Charlie's mouth right now.
Ugh.
I guess you could also say that's the same stuff that goes on with Ty Clary before a game. We talked about this yesterday. The Arkansas starting center, he's not the only one to do this. I mean, but he throws up before every game. And I guess Chad Morris would have known that the question would come his way about Ty puking. And I wonder if there are any coaches that do the same thing before they get on the field as well.
Oh, yeah. Stuff like that, it's hard not to be aware of, but we just ask him to go off and get away from everybody else when he does it, you know. He does it before practice, too. It's just part of it.
And if you listen,
this means it's a daily thing. Yeah. If you do it before practice, I mean, goodness gracious, 365 days out of the year. How many days does a football team practice and play? You've been practicing all August. You got September, you got October, November, and if you got a bowl game, December. That's 5 months straight, Ty, of throwing up every day. That can't be good for an esophagus or a gob.
Yeah, that can't be good for just personal health reasons, I would think. You know how sometimes you throw up and you feel that much better, and this is when you're typically sick or not. I can't imagine. Maybe Ty feels that much better, but that's something I've never had to do, Phil. I don't know if I've ever thrown up before a sporting event when I played in high school or middle school or elementary. Like I told you yesterday, I know and have some friends that used to do that, but that's weird to me. And it's funny that Chad's like, yeah, I know he does it. He just kind of goes off and does his own thing for a little bit. So I guess it's the expectation. If you had to pinpoint one coach who you would think throws up before every game, who would it be?
Well, it would be Les Miles, and that's what happens when you eat too much grass.
That's a good one. I'll take that.
The human stomach can only take so much grass. You know, when you eat it every day, just a little bit every day, I think your stomach might revolt.
Depends on what kind of grass, though, right?
Yeah, good. That's very well said.
Good point, right?
And too much of the other stuff, the other grass will probably make you throw up as well.
Yeah.
Though I don't think Les is into that. Not too much in Kansas. Hey, I want to thank Breeden RV and Power Sports for sponsoring Halftime. Been with us for a while now, and you're going to love Breeden RV because they have upfront and no-hassle pricing. Every single RV is heavily discounted the minute it hits their lot, and you are guaranteed to get the best price around. Plus, Breeden RV is the only dealership around that offers maintenance for life at no extra charge. That's on any new travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome. So go see Breeden RV today on Alma Highway between Van Buren and Alma, or go to BreedenRV.com. Quick break. Back with more. This is Halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime.
Metal Direct offers high-quality prefabricated metal buildings, metal roofing, custom trim shops, carports, and more. They strive to be a company where contractors as well as do-it-yourselfers are welcome. Metal Direct assists you in calculating the materials needed to complete your project, all at a rate you can afford. Stop by their location at 7420 Inmar Drive in Little Rock, one block off University behind Napa Auto Parts, or call them at 501-562-3112. Metal Direct, the right material for the right price.
It's the Rock and Roll Endless Pools event going on right now at Burton Pools and Spas in Fort Smith and in Springdale. Hi, Tommy Kraft here. If you've seen them on TV and always wondered about an endless pool, now is the time during the Rock and Roll event through September 2nd. Get a free upgrade with free music and resistance bands with the purchase of an endless pool fitness system or swim cross exercise system at Burton Pools and Spas. This is a $1,229 retail value. Check it out for yourself. The endless pools. If you want to improve your fitness, relieve pressure in your body, melt away the stress of daily life, an endless pool can be perfect for you, and it's a great choice. See the full line of endless pools for yourself at Burton Pools and Spas during the Rock and Roll event, 6121 Zero Street in Fort Smith, and just off I-49 at the 412 exit in Springdale, and always online at burtonpools.com. It's the Endless Pools Rock and Roll event, now through Labor Day at Burton Pools and Spas in Fort Smith and in Springdale.
Get hot summer savings now during the Labor Day sales event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler, Oklahoma. Incredible offers on an impressive selection of new 2018 still in stock and the stylish new 2019s. Huge savings through Labor Day on trucks, SUVs, cars, and minivans. Don't miss it, the Labor Day sales event going on now at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler. To view the inventory, look them up at buywilliams.com.
At Chambers Bank, our Arkansas roots grow deep, and you can trust us as your partner for every banking need. From a simple checking account to your first home loan, whatever you need, big or small, we are here for you. With 18 convenient branches throughout the state and a full suite of online banking options, we will always be available when you need us. Family owned in Arkansas since 1930, Chambers is your full-service community bank. Bank with trust at Chambers Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 631520.
The switch is on to Bill White Volkswagen. Come find out why drivers all over the River Valley are switching to Bill White Volkswagen. With brand new 2019 Volkswagen Jetta S model starting out as low as $16,995, or how about the third row 7-seat Volkswagen Atlas starting out as little as $29,997. Only at Bill White Volkswagen right here in Fort Smith, or view our entire inventory at BillWhiteVW.com and make the switch.
This is the Morning Rush.
You got to be able to recruit with the big boys. He at least understands that. He at least knows that. And he's trying his best to execute that plan. Chad Morris, if he can just transition it onto the field, translate it onto the field to success, he's got all the other pieces, and he has all the other understandings of what it takes to be a great coach in this league.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
Attention, please!
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, offering smart looks for back to school and serving your community daily. Supercuts. We're super in style. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
McFadden, the number 2 rusher in the SEC behind Kenny Irons. Boy, he hits that hole. Upfield he goes. Watch out! McFadden at the 25, 15, 5, touchdown!
I know you're excited about halftime homework later on in hour number 2. Lots to teach Ty Richardson about. He taught me a little bit about the 2011 Arkansas-Tennessee football game. I got one trivia question coming out of that game for later on in hour number 2. We did learn, by the way, speaking of learning things during On the Air with Chad Morris last night, that the Razorback head coach is hoping to redshirt KJ Jefferson for his freshman season. Now, of course, that means that KJ can be in there for 4 games. But I guess that also means you'd be surprised if KJ's out there for 5 games. I'll tell you what, I think he will get into 4 games because I think you can drop a package for somebody with this speed and arm strength. Now I know reports out of practice have said that while KJ's got a tremendous arm, it's extremely erratic. Sometimes it can be right on target, and other times it can be in the stands. So I don't know how often you're going to let him throw the ball, but going to redshirt him, which means you've got your 1 through 3 right now as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Ben Hicks, Nick Starkel, John Stephen Jones, and I don't think you'd put KJ Jefferson on the depth chart even if you're going to a 4th team right now.
So the question becomes, do you put him in the 4 non-conference games? Do you find him maybe a spot in one of the closer games against an SEC opponent? I think that's going to be on Chad Morris and Joe Craddock's plate this season when you kind of look ahead to what games he's going to play, because if that's what they anticipate on doing, if that's what they do, you're going to have to really pick your spots if you're Chad Morris and Joe Craddock when you want him to play this year. I mean, that's a question that's definitely they're going to have to face at some point in the season, or maybe they've already thought of what they're going to do, or they're just going to decide as they go. But I think that's not necessarily the biggest factor. It's obviously not the biggest factor, but it's at least on their plate now this season.
Well, and then so potentially you've got your quarterbacks lined up, conceivably, for the next few years, with Nick Starkel potentially looking at being the starter next season, his final season of eligibility. That would be Jefferson's redshirt freshman year if they do get a chance to redshirt him. From all the talk from the coaches, I guess I'd be surprised if John Stephen Jones doesn't truly compete for the job next year and maybe land the job as the starting quarterback in 2021. But, we're projecting way ahead.
Can I dismiss that theory?
Do you want to?
Yes.
You still think it's all about placating Jerry Jones?
I don't, and maybe I'm not being fair to the kid. Maybe I'm not. I just see as the Jerry Jones. We were talking about why am I blanking on the dude's name? Ian Eagle's son. What's his son's name?
I don't remember, but he just got the gig as the Clippers radio guy at the age of 22 or 23.
Yeah, which you mentioned paying your dues being a big portion of this industry, which it is, and it most of the time is in every single part of it. And it's not like John Stevens not paying his dues. I just don't buy into the fact that he's going to ever start a lot of games at the University of Arkansas. Maybe I'm completely off on the kid, but I think if you time out what's going to happen with the quarterback position, Phil, next year it's probably going to be Starkel, maybe a sprinkle of Jefferson. Assuming Chandler Morris ends up signing with Arkansas, he'll also be on campus. Then you're done with that. Then you assume that it's KJ Jefferson, John Stephen Jones, and Chandler Morris being him out. All indications lead me to believe that Chandler Morris is better than John Stephen Jones, even though that he was the backup to him at Highland Park. I think he has a much higher ceiling because of a few things. And then once KJ's done, you would think Chandler takes over and John Stevens out of the program at that point. Now, that's just a very raw, unpredictable timeline with the quarterback situation. I'm just tossing out that I don't know if John Stephen Jones is ever going to play significant minutes here at Arkansas.
And of course, it's projecting out, and who knows? That this is without the thought of any injuries, any transfers,
correct,
any decommitments. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole lot of what ifs, which really is sometimes that's what looking ahead in not just college football, but for any athletic program, whether professional or college, is all about.
And Phil, it's kind of like the Ben Hicks situation that I was talking about. That I hope Ben Hicks shuts every Arkansas fan up that's trounced him for no reason other than him winning the job over Starkel. I hope John Stephen Jones shuts me up and outplays everyone and wins that job. I'm not wishing ill will on anyone within that program, but I'm just telling you, calling like I see it, and I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'm not a quarterback guru by any means. I'm just taking the biggest, broadest brush stroke and just telling you what I think.
877-377-6963 for your reaction via voice or text. That's the Cherokee Casino hotline, and we're going to have Bob Holt in just a moment. Before we get to that, though, Ty, I feel like I got to broach the subject because we got to bring this up with Bob being a graduate of the University of Missouri. I'd seen a tweet from the beat writer of Mizzou Athletics at the St. Louis Post-Tribune yesterday. Dave Matter is his name. Post-Dispatch, forgot the name of the paper in St. Louis. And he had put out a photo of the Missouri logo, I guess one of the logos, that is the MU logo, the M on top of the U with a little space in between. And his fourth grader yesterday learned that logo has the head of a mule in the middle of it. You know, it's one of those signals that you haven't seen before, but then you won't ever not see it. You know, like the arrow in the FedEx logo, like the Atlanta Hawks logo when you finally see the hawk and you realize it's not a Pac-Man eating a dot. And then I look at this thing and I think that I don't know the difference between a mule and a donkey, to be honest. I've never realized the differences between those, or nobody's ever told me. But if anybody out there knows that, let me know. And to me, it looks more like a donkey that's about to be blindfolded than anything else. So, and apparently this is a real thing. Like the chancellor of the University of Missouri came up with the design, which to me tells you the design when the chancellor is coming up with it. I mean, that's what you've got real graphic artists to do. So he came up with a design. I know mules are a thing around the state of Missouri, so I think that's something I'll ask Bob Holt, because don't you think Bob knows everything about Mizzou athletics?
Oh, 100%. I bet he'll have everything laid out for you when you ask the question of how this came to be.
Is it a mule? Is it a donkey? Is he being blindfolded? And where are you taking a blindfolded mule, for crying out loud? Before we go to the break, though, don't forget about 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. They're at 906 Garrison Avenue, and they'll help you have a great weekend. Don't just go over there for what you know about them, which is great cigars, top-shelf wines, liquors, and premium beers. They also have a top chef on staff that's coming up with lunch and light dinner items that you're not going to find anywhere else, like the chicken pyro or the Cubana. Or if you like wings, jumbo, roasted with honey bacon jam, plus salads, flatbreads, and desserts, coffees for lunch or dinner, and it's all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Go to Facebook to learn about the specials and events at 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Sample, indulge, and escape. We escape to a break. Back with Bob Holt next on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime.
Elite Roofing is a locally owned roofing contractor. If you're building a new home or maybe need a new roof on your existing home, Elite Roofing can take care of you. Elite Roofing is known for their dependability and reliability. Just ask any of their satisfied customers. They are licensed and insured, and references are available upon request. If you need a roof, call your local roofing contractors. Elite Roofing, 478-8668. That's 478-8668. Elite Roofing, 478-8668.
True Grit Running Company is where perseverance meets passion. Whether you're training for your next marathon or just comfortable shoes to keep up with your kids, we have the gear to help you reach your goals. With our slow motion gait analysis and our extensive product knowledge, we have the right pair of shoes for you. We also carry apparel, nutrition, hydration accessories, injury prevention gear, and recovery products. We offer classes, workshops, and group runs. Lace up, show up, and get your grit on. True Grit Running Company, 6808 Rogers Avenue, Suite B, behind Chick-fil-A.
Art's Barbecue and Burgers has the best burger in town. And every Saturday, enjoy any burger at Art's and get $1 off. Try Art's Bacon Cheeseburger, topped with house smoked bacon, or the Art Attack with bacon, ham, and a fried egg. And all of Art's burgers come with a mound of fresh cut fries, or upgrade to Art's homemade onion rings. $1 off all burgers every Saturday at Art's Barbecue and Burgers, 8203 Rogers Avenue, next to Aaron's in Fort Smith.
Edwards Auto Center in Roland has a newly remodeled facility with a greater selection of vehicles, and you will enjoy a relaxed, no-pressure sales experience. If your credit score has been an issue, Edwards' signature Buy Here, Pay Here program is a part of their superior customer service. Some restrictions may apply. Edwards has helped folks achieve their dreams of auto ownership and providing quality used vehicles for more than 30 years. Visit the newly remodeled Edwards Auto Center 3 miles west of the Garrison Bridge, the first car dealer on the right, or log on at edwardsautosalesinc.com.
Locally owned Lumber One can handle all of your building needs. They've built their business on having great relationships with everybody from contractors and builders to the everyday build-it-yourself. Lumber One is a full-line door shop to handle all of your door, window, and trim needs. And along with lumber, roofing and drywall products, attic wall and floor insulation is available. Lumber One also does blueprint takeoff with access to design services with estimates available. So go where the pros go. Lumber One, located on Industrial Park Road in Van Buren.
I'm Lisa Hinton, owner of Champ Hinton Enterprises. For nearly 50 years, the Champ Hinton name has stood for one thing: selling quality cars in a different way. Taking the mumbo jumbo out of the process and making customers happy. All these years and tens of thousands of cars later, we're still here, doing business the way Champ Hinton taught us. Selling to generations of families who've become part of our family. Champ Hinton Enterprises, the area's premier used car dealer. Take the Arcoma exit off I-540 or go online at champhinton.com.
Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
That's Hammonds. Has the edge, has the 50. Hammonds down the sideline. Inside the 20. He'll take it. Touchdown. Razorbacks. Hammonds breaks it. A 64-yard TD.
All right, I appreciate all the help coming in. Brett from Spyro and Randy texting in that a mule is a hybrid between a horse and a donkey. I think I'd heard that before, but the city boy in me just probably forgot about that. Bob Holt is with us from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and as a Mizzou graduate and a very proud graduate of the journalism department there at Missouri. Bob, I'm sure you knew very well that something that I found out yesterday, that the MU logo has a mule in the middle of it. So what's the deal with the mules in Missouri?
Well, I actually didn't know that about the logo. I saw where Dave Matter from the Post-Dispatch tweeted that his son learned that in the fourth grade class that day or something. But, yeah, Missouri mules, I don't know if you ever watched those old West, so it's a Missouri mule. But I'm not really sure of where that originated, but mules have been associated with Missouri. Like, before Dave Van Horn went on to great success at Nebraska and Arkansas, he coached his one season in Central Missouri State in Warrensburg. They're the Mules. He won the Division II national championship back in '94. So, but yeah, that's just an animal. I don't know if that's the state animal or what, but and then Central Missouri's the Jennies, which I guess is a female mule for their women's teams. But yeah, it's just the mule's just been associated with the state. I guess a hardworking animal, like the hardworking people of Missouri.
And like all the hardworking journalists that come from that department as well. Well said. Thanks for the lesson, Bob Holt. Okay, so let's get into what's going on with Arkansas football. And this Saturday against Portland State, it still feels more like a tune-up than anything else. And, there are no preseason games in college football. But would you say that for any other team in the SEC, like for Arkansas, like look at Vanderbilt, they're the other team that's picked to finish last in their division of the SEC. They open with Georgia, potential national champion. If you're Arkansas and you're rebuilding under Chad Morris, and there are still a lot of question marks for your team right now, you couldn't imagine a better scenario for an opening opponent at all.
Well, yeah, if you're like you say, look at other games. Auburn's opening up with Oregon. Of course, Florida just opened up with Miami. Yeah, if you're all due respect to Portland State, if you're Arkansas, you want a game where you're going to go out and be able to dominate and certainly win, and build up some confidence because you got to play your SEC opener at Ole Miss next week. And by the way, at least on paper, that's one of the maybe the most winnable SEC game you're going to play all season. So, you want to feel good, going into that game. You want to not have your guys all beat up. You want to have played, different guys in different scenarios to get them ready. So, yeah, like you said, in college football, there are no preseason games, but you feel like this is a tune-up for that SEC opener without a doubt.
So if I were to look at the two units here that we pay most attention to, offense, defense, and the best part about fall/summer/camp/practice was that nobody on the defensive side got hurt. All 11 starters that you expected to start at the beginning of camp, they are healthy and ready to go. On the offensive side, what would you say was the best part of the last few weeks?
Well, of course, we didn't get to see a ton of practice, but I would probably say the emergence of the freshman receivers, and not that it was any surprise, those guys like it. But of course, Treylon Burks was coming off knee surgery. Mm-hmm. He tore his ACL last year, so, and that can be obviously is a major injury. It's not like a little knee cleanup. And the parts we've seen, he's been impressive. And then we've certainly heard a lot from the coaches about him. Trey Knox was out with several practices with illness, and we've we're told by some sources it was mononucleosis. And he was back out there yesterday. The little part we got to see, he wasn't doing a whole lot, but he was out there. And he had been out there watching practice. You think if somebody was super ill, they wouldn't be out there watching practice. So, and he's obviously, had a big spring, had a good camp. And, TQ Jackson has a lot of speed. So I think the emergence, and unfortunately, Deion Stewart had a season-ending injury. And Jordan Jones is all right now with a high ankle sprain. He's going to miss this game at the very least. So I think the emergence of those wide receivers in camp has been a big deal for the offense, obviously, because they need those guys, number one, and they especially need them with a couple injuries they've had.
Talking with Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette on the Cherokee Casino Hotline here on Halftime. Bob, you just mentioned you guys haven't got a lot of access to practice. So looking at the outlook of the team this season, do you feel like you have a good grasp on where they're going to be and where they are right now based on the lack of access?
Not really. We have gotten to see who's working where. This is what the number one offensive line looks like. This is what the number two defensive line looks like. I think we all, know Scooter Harris is, going to make a lot of tackles, and McDelvin Agim has, a lot of quickness inside on the defensive line, and Rakeem Boyd looks really, really good running and catching passes and things of that nature. But, yeah, even if we got to see a whole lot of practice, you're still talking about, these guys going against each other. But when you haven't seen much practice at all, it is very hard to have a feel for the team.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking with all these different predictions that have either come out, that are about to come out. I don't know how in-depth you can actually go into because you really haven't gotten to see a lot of these guys this year. And with these freshmen, Bob, these freshmen that you see on the depth chart that you see potentially playing the season, potentially starting, is there the most in a while, like if you look at where the freshmen are on the depth chart, how many compared to years past typically start game one or play throughout the season that you might see this year?
Well, of course, the dynamics have changed because now you can play a guy up to 4 games and he can retain his red shirt. So normally, and that rule went into effect last year. Before last year, you felt like, okay, if you're going to play, I'll say, a Portland State, you would assume, if you're Arkansas, you should be able to play kind of who you want in that game. So you would only play freshmen that you thought were going to, play during the season, have a role for you. And if you did, like if you thought, Ty Richardson is, we're going to need him this year, tight end or whatever, well, you get him in there and play him so that he gets some experience and then they'd carry through. So now with the 4-game rule, they could play, 15 guys, but how many of those guys are really going to play throughout the season? But, we talk about there's 9 true freshmen on the 2 deep, and they, like I say, those starting receivers, they got a bunch of DBs. Treylon Burks is also the number 1 punt returner. And if you're Arkansas, you're hoping you're going to be forcing a lot of punts on Saturday. We'll have to see. But, yeah, I could definitely see, a dozen true freshmen, playing beyond that 4-game threshold. Hudson Henry, one of their most heralded signees, a tight end, he was working with the second team, the part we saw. Of course, O'Grady wasn't doing much that day, but a couple days ago. But he's a guy I believe he'll play this year, not just play those 4 games. He wasn't even on the depth chart. I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that because they got older guys ahead of him. But yeah, I would say anywhere from 10 to 12 true freshmen are going to play key roles this year.
Armon Watts was a real pleasant surprise last year, turned himself into a pro prospect, and virtually came out of nowhere to do it. Is there a player on the defensive side that you think could do the same thing, kind of come out of nowhere to, you don't have to lead the team in any certain category or be a sack artist like Watts was, but to, come from almost nowhere on the depth chart in previous years to pro prospect and somebody that makes a dent defensively?
You're talking about an older guy. Well, they don't have Dorian Gerald's a guy that, I don't know if he really fits that with your question because he just came in last year as a JUCO transfer. But he was a guy that had like 20-something sacks in junior college ball, and you really thought, okay, that's just what they need. And then he didn't get in. I think he didn't get to practice until they'd already started camp. And not that he was certainly in good shape, compared to most people, but he wasn't in great shape compared to SC football players. And he just got off to a real slow start. And at one point, I think he actually said, he went to Steve Caldwell, the defensive ends coach, and said, hey, I think I need a red shirt. And Steve was like, well, we'd love to red shirt you. We can't afford to. And so he played, and he was starting by the end of the year. And he's going to be a senior, so it's now or never for him. He's a guy, I think he feels much more comfortable in the system now. He's lost some weight. Lost quite a bit of weight, I think. And so I don't know if he's going to go out there and get 20 sacks. No offense to Dorian, I don't think anybody in the SEC is going to get 20 sacks, but I could see him being an impact guy on the edge there, and they're definitely going to need that. A guy that can put pressure on the quarterback and stop the run as well, or help stop the run.
We talked briefly about the freshmen there for a moment, and where it really worries me is on the offensive line if there is an injury. Because it just, I don't know if the depth is there in the terms of experience to be able to withstand an injury to one of the starters, certainly when it comes to center and right guard and even left tackle, because Myron Cunningham would move over to left tackle if Colton Jackson gets hurt. That brings Ricky Stromberg into the starting role. You got 3 freshmen, 2 of them true freshmen, as second-string offensive linemen. For me, that worries me a little bit. Do you think this is an offensive line that could withstand even one injury to a starter?
Well, it would depend on that starter, and of course, just because the depth chart is a certain way, they might slide a guy over. And the coaches have really been high on Ricky Stromberg, and I think obviously they know what they're talking about. But you do look on that chart and see 266 in the SEC, and man, that's pretty light for interior offensive lineman in the SEC. But let's say you got Shane Clennon was he's a backup guard, but he's also been running some backup center. So they might put one of those older guys in there rather than the guy that's directly behind him listed on the depth chart. But and obviously the O-line lost Noah Gatlin, who I think would have definitely been a player for him this year. I don't know if he'd have started, but I think he would have been a guy, who would have challenged for a starting job out there at right tackle, and might have started. Who knows? But the offensive line is definitely a question mark going in. I mean, this team has a lot of question marks, but when you lose 3 starters, and the line obviously had its issues last year anyway, and then you lose 3 starters, and you have a lot of new guys in there. That's I don't know. That's a good question. We'll see how good, because they have talked about having better depth, better competition, and we'll see what happens if that comes into play.
Bob, always appreciate you joining us on Thursdays. We're coming up on nearly a year for halftime. You've been with us from the start, and certainly hope you'll stick with us moving forward. And we'll be reading you in the Democrat Gazette.
Okay, thanks. You guys take care.
You got it. Bob Holt, one of the best from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, joining us every Thursday. Hey, it's Thursday, Ty. What does that mean? Are the mountains blue yet?
Oh, absolutely. And it's basically the weekend. Thursday, especially for a lot of the younger folks, it is the weekend. And why not grab yourself a ice-cold Coors Light, whether it's the gas station, your favorite bar, wherever. They take pride in the whole process with their beer, the ingredients they put into it to make it the world's most refreshing beer. It doesn't get colder than this, whether it's cold lager below freezing, cold filtered, and cold package with the cold activated can that Phil was referring to. When the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. And when the mountains turn blue, Phil, what do?
You go for 2.
Exactly right. Coors Light, made to chill.
It's like treating it like the fourth overtime of a college football game, time and time again, with every crack of the can. We'll come back, wrap up the first hour of halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Shooters shoot. You're listening to Halftime.
If you have experience transporting frozen and refrigerated goods and want to be part of a trucking family with insurance and be home every week, you need to contact Brent Higgins Trucking. Since 1997, Brent Higgins Trucking in Mulberry has been proudly delivering to and from various areas of the United States, including but not limited to Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Brent Higgins Trucking, where you're a name, not a number. Call them at 479-997-2366 or log on to BrentHigginsTrucking.com.
Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services.
Right now, I'm holding a perfectly ice-cold Coors Light. You know how I know it's the perfect temperature? Because the mountain on the can is blue. And also, it's really cold. Every Coors Light is cold filtered, cold lagered, and cold packaged. So make sure the mountain on your can of Coors Light is blue. Because that means it's ready to enjoy. Coors Light, as cold as the Rockies. Available down the street. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches, like the chicken pyro or the Cubana, or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
Was your roof damaged by by recent storms. Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
What's your next obsession? If it's diving lessons, Ocean Impact Dive Shop, Western Arkansas, and Eastern Oklahoma's premier dive shop is waiting on you. Ocean Impact is a full-service 5-star PADI dive shop offering air fills and tank inspections. The staff can answer all your questions and get you started on your underwater adventure. Ocean Impact Dive Shop, 2127 South 56th Street, Fort Smith. Don't wait. Get to Ocean Impact Dive Shop. Go get your dive on.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging, the Xerox authorized agency and dealer in the River Valley. The 29 new models of Xerox business printers and copiers represent a quantum leap forward in office technology. They are designed for the way we work today, safely and securely. They're powered by Xerox Connect Key technology. They're innovative and affordable with both black and white and color devices available. For more information, give Dixie Digital a call at 783-6600 or visit us at dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing Xerox document innovations to the River Valley.
The weather is hot and the deals are hotter at Hertz Car Sales. Hertz offers a wide selection of high-quality cars, SUVs, or trucks, and amazing customer service where you can buy direct and save on every car. With inventory arriving daily, why not make the short drive to 2810 Midland Boulevard or give them a call at 783-1722. You can also check them out on the web at buyfromhertz.com. Proud to serve Fort Smith and the River Valley. Stop by Hertz Car Sales today. You'll be glad you did.
Attention, please.
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, offering smart looks for back to school and serving your community daily. Supercuts, we're super in style. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Well, the Bulldogs will kick it short, but they get it to McFadden back around the 7. He comes up to the 20, and he's off to the races. We were just talking about it. McFadden and Jones, they are mighty good, and McFadden shows it there. From the 7-yard line to the end zone, 93 yards for Darren McFadden. My goodness, they answer in a hurry.
Richardson puts on our rundown here that Santos Ramirez has signed with the New York Jets. He signed with the Jets in May as an undrafted free agent, got waived August the 20th, and now is signed once again. I find it a little more interesting that Joe Johnson is meeting with the Philadelphia 76ers. He'll be working out with them. I didn't realize until yesterday he was the MVP of the Big Three, 7-time All-Star. Apparently is not done after playing nearly 1,300 NBA games and averaging 16 points, 4 rebounds, and just under 4 assists. That would be cool. I mean, the Sixers are one of the fun teams to watch, certainly in the Eastern Conference. And Joe Johnson, I don't know if I'd say he'd fit right in, but it would be a great veteran presence on a team that's loaded with young talent.
ISO Joe, a guy that's known amongst NBA circles as just being stone cold clutch when it comes to in-game situations. So for the Sixers and Elton Brand, who's their GM, why not give him a shot? See if he works out well and see if that falls through.
But there are 19 players under contract for Philadelphia.
Wow.
15 of them projected to start the season on the active roster, so maybe it'd be a little bit of an uphill climb for one of the best to ever leave Arkansas and go play the pro game. All right, that's hour number 1. Hour number 2 starts with halftime homework on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Kids are back in school, fall is just around the corner, and at Breeden RV that means one thing, camping season. With deals on new travel trailers up to $13,000 off and new fifth wheels up to $20,000 off, you'll see why Breeden RV is the area's fastest growing RV dealership. And you'll have peace of mind when you buy from Breeden RV because every new RV comes with maintenance for life. So stop by today at Breeden RV on Alma Highway between Van Buren and Alma or visit us on the web at BreedenRV.com. Breeden RV, home of maintenance for life.
Get more at Orr.
The
2019 clearance is on at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. We have some awesome new 2020 models arriving daily, like the Chevy Blazer and the heavy-duty Silverado. So to make room, Orr Chevy is getting straight to the bottom line price on all remaining new 2019 models. Half-ton Silverados, Tahoes, and Suburbans, Equinoxes, and Traverse SUVs, plus Malibus and Chevy Trax crossovers. You get the famous Orr volume discount and all the money for your trade. Plus, with any new Chevy sold, you'll also receive a complimentary 3-day, 2-night hotel stay at one of over 600 hotels across America. So come get a free hotel vacation today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
Barley is the soul of Budweiser. That's why we've been working with the same family-owned American farms for more than 50 years to harvest it. The secrets to growing this grain perfectly have been passed down through 3 generations. For them, it's a legacy. And it's why only the best barley and locally sourced ingredients are used to make Budweiser. Budweiser is proudly raised across America. This Bud's from our barley farmers. This Bud's for you. Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Catfish Kitchen at the top of Logtown Hill in Van Buren has lunch specials every weekday from 11 till 2, starting at only $7.99. Try the 3-piece catfish filet dinner with hand-cut fries and all the fixins. It's only $11.29. And the Catfish Kitchen is more than catfish. Try their shrimp dinners, cooked any way you like it. Chicken tenders, crab cakes, or one of their po' boy sandwiches. The Catfish Kitchen, open Tuesday through Sunday 11 till 9 at 727 Fayetteville Road at the top of Logtown Hill, across from the police station in Van Buren.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Quiet weather expected all the way into the weekend. A mainly clear sky tonight, an overnight low in the low to mid 60s. Sunshine with us on Thursday, our high mid to upper 80s. And then Friday, plenty of sunshine, our high in the mid to upper 80s. We're going to stay dry through the weekend. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by Harry Robinson Buick GMC, where you always get more for your trade. Exit 11 off I-540 in Fort Smith. You can shop anytime at harryrobinson.com.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. The Bud Light Countdown is on. Arkansas football begins in 2 days.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas? Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, man, Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
wide
that?
Open again. All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
Okay, about time for your favorite segment of the week, one that usually doesn't have much to do with college football, though Ty has been making sure to teach me some things involving very famous Arkansas football games, and that's definitely one that he assigned me that I got into, which was the 2011 meeting of Arkansas versus Tennessee. I'm teaching Ty about some really good music later on in this segment, but before we get to our halftime homework, I'm going to bring on our friend Eddie from Clarksville. We've got bells for him. He's got a bell of his own. Of course, he switched it into a whistle. Hope the whistle is louder than the last time I heard it. But here it is. Eddie, do you like the sound of this bell, or did you like the sound of your bell better?
I tell you what, that's a better bell, and you're exactly right, sir, because a bell is fixing to be ringing come Saturday at 3 o'clock. And I'm telling this fan base, a lot of the fans think that Hawk trains derailed. I beg your pardon. We're fixing to get rolling. And I want the fan base to get out tomorrow afternoon at the Hawk Hall. And if you can't attend, get outside your businesses. Send the pictures. Let them hear our Hawk Call across the United States and across the country. Because I hear the whistle blowing. I'll see you in the rock. And let's get this party started at the Hawk train and fix it to get rolling.
Absolutely, Eddie. That was very well done. Nice, compact, lots of energy. And I found out earlier today, Eddie texted Ty Richardson. He sent me a photo of the text. And you really have to appreciate somebody that is as authentic over text messages as he is over the phone, because Eddie texts the way he calls, which is amazing, which means it's really long. It involves emojis of bells and lots of emotional emojis. So I appreciate that about Eddie from Clarksville. This is a guy who is really who he comes off as on the phone calls.
Stays true to himself, which you got to appreciate. He's really excited. My brother's texting me that they're going to meet up in Oxford next weekend, so they're definitely going to get a pick at the Walk of Champions, and hopefully after an Arkansas dub, Phil.
Let's see, I'm looking here at the text that you'd sent me from him. He's got a train emoji. He's got 2 bell emojis. I mean, it's exactly what he does on the phone calls, doesn't he?
Exactly. The exact same thing. Like you said, you want people to be as authentic as it gets. That's Eddie in Clarksville.
All right, let's get to it. Thursday, in hour number 2, time to teach each other about something. Halftime homework.
as if.
I don't trust this kid any further than I could throw him.
I got a question. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Get out of my class. Out! Get out!
I was still thinking of going back to school.
It's just a movie from the 80s.
I am dangerous.
It's time for Halftime Homework, presented by Breeden RV and Power Sports.
And we appreciate Breeden RV and Power Sports for bringing you halftime homework every Thursday. You'll have no problem with Breeden RV because they have upfront and no hassle pricing. Every single RV is heavily discounted the minute it hits the lot. That guarantees the best price around. Breeden RV is also the only dealership around that offers maintenance for life at no extra charge on any new travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome. So go see Breeden RV. They're on Alma Highway between Van Buren and Alma, or visit the web, BreedenRV.com. Let's get to my assignment first. And Ty, I really have to appreciate you telling me flat out something that no teacher or professor ever did to a student, which is telling me that when you're assigning me these football games, that I don't have to watch the entire game. You're allowing me to use War Machine's YouTube highlights as sort of like a Razorback football version of Cliff's Notes. So I appreciate that, because I haven't given you the same opportunity. You know, I keep assigning you movies, and these are like 1.5 to 2 hour movies. And I guess you could go with the Cliff's Notes if there was something. You watched Rain Man because we were talking about Tom Cruise movies last week. So thanks for the Cliff's Notes versions. And I did watch the 2011 highlights, thanks to War Machine, on YouTube of Arkansas versus Tennessee. And, of course, 2011 was a pretty magical season for Arkansas football right there at the – would you call 2011 the height of the BMFP era?
Man, that was a good year. John and I go back and forth on the better year, 2010, 2011. You look at the losses. Arkansas lost to Bama in 2010, who were number one at the time, but they didn't end the season like many thought they would. And you lost to Auburn with Tyler having to be inserted in that game on the road in Jordan Air Stadium. 2011, you lost to LSU, got blown out on the road, and you also got thrashed by Alabama. But you did finish the season with a Cotton Bowl victory in old Dallas, Texas, whooping up on Colin Klein and the Kansas State Jayhawks. Not how I said Jayhawks, the Wildcats. And that was fun. It's hard to say that 2010 was better. I know you went to a BCS, but because of how that game finished down there in New Orleans, I would say the 2011 season was slightly better.
Well, and also one more win, right?
Exactly.
You know, instead of 10 wins, you got 11. And one of them was a complete blowout of the Tennessee Volunteers by a final score of 49-7. And that's certainly the one moment that fans remember from this game more than anything else was I've seen Joe Adams' punt return, the 60-yard punt return, in which he really ran about, 85 yards, dodging 6 tacklers, as potentially the greatest punt return in SEC history, which I think is saying something. And, I mean, the Hogs put on quite a show in that ballgame. Got up 21-0 before Tennessee scored their only touchdown midway through the second quarter. You had Jarius Wright, who had a huge game that day, catching a couple of bombs, caught 94 yards worth, 5 passes, a 40-yard touchdown. Dennis Johnson had a huge game on the ground, running just 11 times for 102 yards. And this was when you had Tyler Wilson just throwing it all over the house. I mean, deep balls, 16 completions, 224 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, the Hogs did play a good defensive game. They held Tennessee to 4 of 18 on third down conversions. The Hogs went 5 of 9 on third down conversions. So, But still, Ty, I mean, the moment from that game that everybody remembers was Joe Adams' punt return. I haven't seen a more exciting play, I think, in the time that I've been paying attention to Arkansas football. And is this true? Is this really the last? Is this the last punt return that's been a touchdown for Arkansas? It's been a long time.
Man, I don't know that stat, but I feel like they had one in 2012 though. With maybe not. I don't. Is that what it says?
Well, I thought that's something that I'd heard. Maybe I'm attributing that to.
This is where we need
else.
Hutch or Hog Stats Hog Stats is more basketball. Someone text us in if that's right or not. If that's the last punt return in 2011, Phil, that wouldn't surprise me if it was. You haven't any dudes since that day.
You know what stands out though about the final score? 49-7. That's a 42-point margin, and it ties for the second largest margin of victory for Arkansas against an SEC opponent. The only other team that they've beaten by more than 42 points was Mississippi State in 2003. Hogs won that game 52-6. Now, in 2012, they did beat Kentucky 49-7, and then things had already fallen apart by that point. So to think about Arkansas being in the SEC since '92, and for that one that you assigned me to be essentially one of the three biggest blowout wins against a league opponent, and it's one of the games that might have cost Derek Dooley his job. It's funny because I was watching the highlights of this, and the commentators are saying still near the end of the game when the score is up there 49-7, and they're still saying Dooley is still the guy to turn this program around. And I don't know if Old Takes Exposed got a hold of that one, but they probably should have.
Did Kiffin come after Dooley or before? I can't remember. He came before. Correct?
I mean, it's so difficult to remember.
I think it went Kiffin, Dooley, Jones. I think that was right.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're exactly right about that. So I mean, it's a good assignment, and again, thanks for letting me watch the Cliffs Notes, so I didn't have to watch the entire game because that would take a little bit too much time.
Man, Cliff Notes got me through. What is it? Not music lit, but something literature in college, and I only looked at Cliff Notes, didn't read any of the book. So I had a couple assignments from you, Phil. I had to look up MC Hammer, Ozzy Osbourne, watch The Rain Man, and then also find a little bit about Jerry Glanville. We'll start there with Mr. Jerry Glanville, and you're going to tell me a little bit about these Pittsburgh-Houston Oiler games that I got to watch. One of the things that stood out with me with Jerry is he and a buddy used to draw plays on pizza boxes. That's my kind of guy right there. A coach that draws plays on pizza boxes. That is my type of guy. And he also had this thing he dubbed NFL calls, not for lawn calls, which was kind of funny.
Well, he would go at officials all the time and tell them, you know what the NFL stands for? Not for long, meaning your career here.
It's over, yeah. And then also, another tidbit about Jerry, he coached at Portland State, which was kind of funny.
This is long after he'd been an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy would go and he would coach. He coached high school for free. He coached some. He worked as an advisor to some collegiate programs for free. He said all that he asked them to do was take him to the best chicken restaurant, the best pizza restaurant, and the best steak restaurant in that order, I think is what it was. That's all he was asking for. And as a Steelers fan, when he was coaching the Oilers, you hated the guy, but you also couldn't deny the fact that he has some of the most incredible charisma that I think any coach has had. And that's why you take a guy who didn't have, necessarily a really great head coaching career. He got him for his career here at 60 wins and 69 losses. That's not great. Just a couple of visits to the playoffs. But the fact that he wore black every game and just black, that stood out. And the thing I didn't realize when I was looking him up the other day, Ty, is I thought he really did leave tickets for Elvis Presley at every game. But he did it as a joke just once, and the legend still went with him the rest of the way. The guy is still coaching. He is still coaching. He's in the XFL at Tampa Bay, their defensive coordinator. He's like 83 years old.
It's wild, man. Back to the question we were asking each other earlier about Joe Adams. Matt from Ozark brings up a good point. The Joe Adams punt return they had against Kansas State in that Cotton Bowl was the same season, even though it occurred in 2012 that year, but that was also part of that season. I remember that call. Joe Adams back and receives it at the 45, and Gus Johnson on that call, Phil, which we'll get to in a little bit. All right, a couple other things you had me do. You had me watch Rain Man. We'll get into that next. So that was one of the movies that I had not seen Tom Cruise-wise that a lot of people were telling me was really good. Some their favorite, some up there. And I don't think it was my favorite Tom Cruise movie, but I think it was the most humanizing one he's ever been in. I think that one, it really drew just the human element out of me. And it was funny. There's a bunch of stuff, like you said, and I'm going to butcher this. Is it Robert Hoffman? Dustin Hoffman. I'm sorry. That's bad.
I mean, he won an Oscar for the role, and might
he was
be
great
out of all the roles he had. I mean, we're talking about Dustin Hoffman here. That still might be his best role.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. It's funny how Tom Cruise is cool in every single movie, but
he might be a little bit weird as a real person.
Yeah, so it's kind of wild how that works out. But the Rain Man was the imaginary childhood friend. He found out it was Raymond. It was funny when Raymond walks in on him and his girlfriend in the bed together. What else was stood out in that movie? I don't know about you, Phil. I will just never let another man teach me how to dance, regardless of the situation. I don't care if I don't know how to dance heading to my wedding night, and one of my good friends is trying to teach me how. I can't do that. I won't let it happen.
Well, it just depends on the man, really. I mean, I would have let Patrick Swayze teach me how to dance. That's just fine. It's just a matter of, you want somebody who knows what they're doing to teach you how to dance. Tom Cruise, I mean, and keep in mind, the character that Dustin Hoffman is playing is autistic. So I don't know if he would, he's just about letting somebody that he feels comfortable with do that with him. But I would be really cool, like if you're able to mix up two of Tom Cruise's roles, if he took the risky business character into Rain Man and teach Rain Man how to dance in just tighty whities. Although, Rain Man wore boxer shorts, as anyone that sees the movie well knows. So that would be fun to see those two movies mashed together. And then, of course, there's the kiss, the famous kiss, in which he just describes it as wet. All right, so you like that one.
I also watched The Firm earlier this week. I know that wasn't assigned to me, but I still think A Few Good Men is my favorite Tom Cruise movie, even though The Firm had some Little Rock stuff. Gary Busey was in there, but I still think A Few Good Men is probably my favorite one, Phil.
Well, I don't think that's not a bad choice.
Top Gun following closely behind its second, and probably Cocktail at number 3.
When's Top Gun Maverick coming out? Summer next year?
I thought it was 2020, correct? Isn't that what it said?
I think so, too. So, yeah, that'll be something that maybe the two of us need to go watch together. All right, so what else did I have you study up on?
So I had some music assignments as well, Phil, and these were a couple of out of the box ones. Some I'd heard, some I haven't. So we'll start with Ozzy Osbourne.
Now, how did we get on Ozzy Osbourne? How did this one come up? I don't remember.
Was he at one point?
I think we were
in a band, or was he always single?
Well, no, he was in Black Sabbath. I think this is where it came from, because we were talking about stars that left their band and if they got bigger or didn't get bigger when they became a solo act. Osbourne's one of the people that got bigger when he became a solo act.
Correct, and one of our listeners texted in asking me to listen to that, so I listened to a little Ozzy Osbourne. Mama Coming Home was just Crazy Train. I like Crazy Train without the lyrics better. Flying High had a killer guitar bass solo.
That's what we got on here.
And then let's see, So those are 3 songs mainly I listened to from Ozzy Osbourne. But interesting.
I was always scared of Ozzy Osbourne as a kid, and growing up in the early '80s to mid '80s. And when he bit the head off of the bat on stage, I forget where that happened, but he literally bit a head off of a bat. Somebody threw a bat at him. He picked it up. He bit the head right off of it. And I don't know, that probably frightened me for the rest of, not of my life, is really until he got on, they started the show The Osbournes, when it looked like, oh my gosh, he's actually a real person. He's a dad. He's a husband. And he might still be addled on drugs.
Yikes. All right, last thing you had me assigned to do was MC Hammer. And
this is a song you didn't listen to, I know that.
Yeah, I don't think I did. So, Too Legit to Quit. That was a song I think you played during last week's show, and that was a phrase that was commonly used in the vernacular of my middle school halls. I can't remember how many times I probably said that. My friend said that. That was used, so it made its way all the way to my generation. I listened to, obviously Can't Touch This. That's an all-timer. This Is How We Roll, something I listened to.
Yeah, not a bad one.
It's all good. had like a Fresh Prince type feel, like the theme song of Fresh Prince. I don't know who sings that, but it has that type of feel. And then also Let's Get It Started. Those are the songs I listen to from MC Hammer, Phil.
Well, this was one that I always liked. This was MC Hammer with Have You Seen Her? The other one was Pumps and a Bump, which was really one of the weirdest songs I think I've ever heard. And MC Hammer goes along with Jerry Glanville during his days as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And MC Hammer also was a bat boy for the Oakland A's when he was growing up in the Bay Area, so he does have some connections to sports. All right, so I mean that's good lessons right there. What do you want me to learn about this upcoming week, Ty? Because I'm thirsting for new information.
So let's stick it with the games. And then you gave me a great podcast to listen to with Richard Deitch. Is it Deitch? Is that how
Deitch?
Deitch. Yes. And
formerly
Gus,
SI, now with the Athletic.
Correct. And Gus Johnson. I'm really glad that you drew me to this and picked it out for me because I thought the interview was fantastic. You don't have to necessarily listen to this podcast, but
I already have.
Did you? Okay,
Yes.
So you probably learned a lot about Gus Johnson. Find me something that I didn't know about my favorite broadcaster, and I've done a lot of research on it, but just find something that you think would be cool that I hadn't learned. I hadn't learned until I listened to the podcast that his first job was in Waco, Texas, which is where Baylor's campus is located. I texted my dad that yesterday, and he was pretty fascinated by that news. But the interview with Gus was really interesting. He talks about how he doesn't get into politics, doesn't get into religion. He talks about how the game times being at 12 for Fox this season are going to affect him. And he said Bill Raftery still stays out till like 2 or 3 at the bars, which is just incredible to me at his age that he's still doing that. And a lot of people heard that and were like, man, I really want to go drink with Raftery now. But it was a great interview, man. Just pull something you think would be cool that I'd like to listen. Other 2 assignments, I was watching this today. 2 days left from Arkansas football, stepping on Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, and the clip I used on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook stuff was the time in 2006 when this group of Razorbacks went down to Jordan-Hare Stadium and absolutely clobbered Tommy Tuberville's team. Just absolutely mauled them. 27-10. Darren McFadden had a long touchdown run that was like 50-something yards. It was incredible. They ate Cox, the Auburn quarterback, alive that day. So watch that. And then the second one, Phil, is we just had you watch a Tennessee one, 2011. Watch the last time College Game Day was in Fayetteville, which is 2006 Tennessee. And they crushed Tennessee that day. That was fun. It was so Ainge, I think, was out, and Jonathan Cropton, the backup quarterback, was in. Watch the College Game Day talking about Tennessee and Arkansas. It's on YouTube. And then also watch the actual game itself. It was fun. Jamal Anderson, those guys ate him alive. What a game that was for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I think old Ron Franklin was on the call. I miss Ron. I know he said some stuff he probably shouldn't have, but I miss him doing college football games, Phil.
Okay, well, I'll get with that. All right, so there was something you said last week, and that's one of the reasons that we do this segment. And I don't mean this in a bad way towards you, Ty, whatsoever. And
no,
this
but
is one
it
of the
needs
things
to
that
be.
makes this. It's one of the things that makes the show what it is, and why I think we're going almost into our second year. I mean, there's a pretty big gulf between me and Ty in terms of just the experiences we have in pop culture. So the topic last week, you listened to Lionel Richie and the Commodores, and we were talking about the idea of Lionel Richie getting bigger, but not necessarily better, when he became a solo act. And we were, I think, kicking around some of the solo acts that left bands and whether or not they got better, and that's why you listen to Ozzy Osbourne. So then I said, what about Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5? And Ty says this.
I think this applies with every artist in general, Phil, the fact that anytime they split off for their original group, they're just not as good as they were.
It depends. I mean, there are examples like Michael Jackson splitting away from his brothers. He was better away from the Jacksons than he was with them.
Generational gap.
I thought he was always solo. That shows you what I know.
You never heard of the Jackson 5? Michael Jackson started with the brothers. All right, so we've got to
literally thought he was always.
I mean, that's
going
to be a halftime homework at some point. Well, and some point is right now. Michael Jackson there would not have been a Michael Jackson if there wasn't the Jackson 5. This is Blame It on the Boogie. This is towards the end of the 70s, I think. Michael was grown up then. He became a star at like the age of 6 or 7. That's one of the reasons that Michael Jackson was so weird, but you can't deny this is beautiful. Okay, so I implore you, please learn a little bit about the Jacksons. And then there was another one, and I feel like we're on a funk kind of a kick. You did the Commodores last week. You're going to do the Jacksons as well. And you played a little bit of Kool and the Gang when Eddie and Clarksville came on last week. So you're going to need to listen to some Kool and the Gang. Sound beautiful, just like this. This is Joanna. This is a great love song. One of my favorite songs that is named for a woman with just the one name. We all know Celebration. We all know Get Down on It. So then there's this. All right. So that's what I got for you. There's the Jacksons. There's Kool and the Gang. And because we got to throw a little sports into it as well, you see there was another flare-up in the Orioles dugout. So the Baltimore Orioles stink. They have the worst record, I think the worst record in Major League Baseball. I don't have my standings in front of me, but, I mean, there's been Chris Davis blew up at Brandon Hyde, the manager. There was another blow-up in the dugout yesterday. So if you want to talk about dugout blow-ups, there's one name you need to learn about, and it's Billy Martin. He was the second baseman for the New York Yankees in the 50s. And then managed the Yankees amongst other teams, managed the Rangers and the Tigers and the Athletics. And, I mean, he was as fiery of a manager as there has ever been in the game of baseball. He literally almost got into a fist fight with Reggie Jackson, his star outfielder, in the dugout.
He would have lost.
And you have to learn a little bit about Billy Martin. Watch some of his tirades on the field. I mean, George Steinbrenner fired him like 6 times. I don't know anybody who's been fired 6 times, certainly by the same person. So you got to learn about Billy Martin as well. I think we got good stuff there for halftime homework, and we'll get into it next Thursday. Speaking of next week, by the way, that's when you got the Arkansas Balloon Fest going on at the Boone County Regional Airport. It's the unique outdoor event that's been going on since 1995 in beautiful downtown Harrison. The festival kicks off Friday evening at the Boone County Regional Airport with a free concert, beer gardens, balloons tethered to the ground, and they got a balloon glow going on, plus vendors. The event continues Saturday morning, more balloon race competitions. The evening will continue with tethered rides offered to the public, and then in conjunction with the tethered rides, there's a Casa Kids Corner, inflatables, pony rides, music, face painting, food, and fun for the family. And then it concludes on Sunday again at the Boone County Regional Airport with several balloon race competitions for all to enjoy. Go experience the hot air balloon adventure with the Harrison Convention and Visitors Bureau, September 6th through the 8th. Learn more online at ArkansasBalloonFest.com. We'll come back with more halftime, a little basketball update on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. Follow them on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP and at Ty Sports Radio.
When was the last time you looked forward to seeing the dentist? Well, if it's been a while or you haven't had the best of experience with dentistry, meet Marcy Van Ash McKinney in Family Dentistry. They take care of it all: crowns, bonding, dentures, bleaching, and cosmetic dentistry. They even offer oral consciousness sedation available for your comfort. That's Marcy Van Ash McKinney Family Dentistry at 807 South 21st. Call for an appointment today, 494-7600. That's 494-7600.
The best TV experience in the nation is available locally with personal service from WOW World of Wireless, your neighborhood professional Dish authorized retailer. Dish has the Hopper 3, the most advanced DVR, and delivers a premium viewing experience. Tired of running out of DVR space? With the Hopper 3, you can record up to 2,000 hours of your favorite programming and watch your very own favorite channels and DVR recording anywhere you go on your phone or tablet. Call now, WOW World of Wireless at 877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474 for more details. Or stop by our location at the corner of Phoenix and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith, or visit us online at shopwownow.com. Get the Hopper 3 today by calling WOW World of Wireless at 877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474. Or online at shopwownow.com.
Monthly equipment fees and other restrictions apply. Recording hours vary. 2,000 hours based on SD programming. Remote viewing requires internet connection and compatible mobile device.
Hardee's new 2-3 More breakfast menu is as easy as a walk in the park. $2 gets you a pair of cinnamon and raisin biscuits or a savory sausage biscuit. $3 gets you a tasty bacon, egg, and cheese on a made-from-scratch biscuit. biscuit. And $4 gets you a hearty breakfast platter loaded with sausage and other breakfast classics. In fact, the new 2-3 More menu may even be simpler than a walk in the park. It's more like a walk in an airport, where they have those sidewalks that move for you. Pilots have it made. The new Hardee's 2-3 More menu. Offer available for a limited time during regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included.
From wilderness trails and rugged terrain to long winding roads and sand dunes, every driver has their own hill to climb. Let's get to the top. For a limited time, get a $50 or $70 reward card after submission with the purchase of 4 new select BF Goodrich passenger or light truck tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 9/3/19, void where prohibited.
If you're a landowner, hobby farmer, or full-time farmer, Bush Machine and Tractor knows how important this time of year is for you. So make the most of it with a brand new Branson tractor. Offering tractors from 19 to 105 horsepower, they have the tractor that's right for you. Make the most of your time this year and ask about their special financing options and free loader rebates. Arkansas's #1 Branson dealer is Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith. Check out their inventory at bushtractor.com.
Gold, did you know that Gatorade Zero has all the same electrolytes but with zero sugar?
I did know that because I drank some Gatorade Zero after I ran 2 miles at the gym this morning.
2? Please, I ran 3.
Did I mention I also was on a 6 incline?
You didn't, but that's interesting because that's 2 less than I was on.
Were you also running backwards? Because I was.
No.
Gatorade Zero, all the electrolytes with zero sugar. So you can get more out of zero.
This is the Morning Rush.
You know what we say when we mean QB1?
Yeah.
Okay, because Tommy just thinks it's a kid thing. Now, I got it from the show Friday Night Lights, because that's what they always talk about. It's like, oh, man, he's QB1. He's the big deal on campus. He's the big dog. Tommy just assumed that it's just what the kids say these days, which it is, but that's fine.
We didn't say Ryan Mallett, or even Tyler. We weren't like, oh, hey, there goes QB1.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
Attention, please!
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, offering smart looks for back to school and serving your community daily. Supercuts, we're super in style. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Arkansas on the ground. It's Hammond. Oh, Hammond's breaking free. It's going to be a foot race. 1 man to beat. Touchdown, Arkansas. 88 yards.
Updating some basketball stuff involving the University of Arkansas, and it just continues to be a trickle of the information involving this upcoming non-conference schedule. You're still finding out who Arkansas is playing from the opponents. Who was it recently that had sent out their schedules? Austin Peay, I think, was one of them. I forget
Austin
the other.
Peay, Tulsa.
Tulsa.
That's another one. I think there might be 1 or 2 more, but they keep flying it out. And we're, like you're saying, we're waiting for Arkansas to release theirs.
Well, it's still waiting, but we still do find out from the trickle of other universities that the Razorbacks will be playing against the Norsemen of Northern Kentucky, though we don't know the date yet. This news came from new Norseman coach Darren Horn, who I think you remember as the head coach for 4 years at South Carolina. He'd been a top assistant at Texas for the last handful of years and replaces John Brannon, who left Northern Kentucky to take over the Cincinnati Bearcats basketball program. Northern Kentucky was good. They won 26 games last year and won the Horizon League regular season. So we don't know the day that they're going to play, but I assume we'll wait for when the schedule release finally comes. Arkansas's women's basketball team sent out their schedule or has it online for the last 2 weeks, so you just wonder what the holdup is about the men's team.
Big Darren Horn fan. He came on my student radio show when I was in Fayetteville, and I always appreciated that. He's kind to me, and I remember the interview was terrible because I said Mr. Horn every single time. It's taken me, I've told you this, it's taken me a little while because I was drilled as almost in like a military fashion to say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, Mr., Mrs., like just like that. It's taken me a while in the real world to get out of that habit when it comes to just talking to people. I'm not saying I'm their equal, but I like just to communicate by just calling them by their first name is still weird to me.
Well, can I just say, it's perfectly okay to refer to somebody with their first name. That's why we have first names.
Yeah.
Now, I remember an instance when I was a student in Indiana that one of my friends referred to Bob Knight as Bob as he was passing by him. He didn't take too kindly to that. Bob Knight, I think, would be a little bit different. Just a little bit different. I have a feeling if you pass by Chad Morris on campus, if, he's walking around campus for some reason. Eric Musselman does walk around campus. How was he introducing himself?
Hey, I'm Eric. I'm the new basketball
That's
coach.
exactly right. So, it's different person to person. So you can refer to Darren Horn as Darren. I think you can refer to Eric Musselman as Eric. Dave Van Horn is Dave, and Chad Morris is Chad. It's perfectly okay. We don't have to call them Mr. And I'll be honest here, calling coaches Coach all the time is just total laziness.
Yeah, I don't call Chad or Eric Coach. I say it by their first name. Speaking of must, you see the video put out. They just keep killing it on social media, man. And when Derek Ruskin, and again, I'm a big Ruskin guy. I would say we're friends at this point. When he has nothing but glowing positive reviews about someone, that's when you know you're doing something right.
Because Derek is usually searching for some negative. He'll even make some negative up if he can't, if he can't find it. So I say that tongue in cheek, but you're right. When he's bought in totally, maybe we have some other listeners that when they buy in, then we'll realize everybody is on the Must Bus. But
man.
How many seats are on the Must Bus? It's like it continues to get larger and larger.
I'm assuming Eric will allow as many as he can, but with his social media prowess, you think about what he did today. He had his coaching staff put out a video of him running onto the football field as they open the gates, and it's like 3 o'clock Portland State. And we're just like, this guy gets it. That's the phrase that you just use with him concerning social media, because we've talked about how the basketball pictures have made their rounds. He went on Sirius XM and talked about it. Like, people have really gravitated towards Arkansas basketball from a recruiting standpoint. Again, you got to land the big fish. You got to get some of these kids to sign on the dotted line, but at least from a atmosphere and a presence standpoint where you relate to kids in the college basketball and high school basketball circuit, you're getting some looks.
Speaking of a couple of kids that they are trying to relate to, basketball recruiting, KK Robinson, who I think he visited last week. Wasn't it Robinson who took the photo that mimicked Allen Iverson stepping over
Correct.
Ty Lue?
That's him.
Okay, so KK Robinson, who is from Bryant, is going to play out his last high school season at a pretty prestigious prep school that's had a lot of great players, NBA players, come through at Oak Hill Academy in Virginia. Carmelo Anthony went there, Michael Beasley, Kevin Durant, Rajon Rondo. The list goes on and on. Rod Strickland, Jerry Stackhouse, Ron Mercer. And I don't know, do you apparently think, Ty, that this doesn't bode very well for the idea of Robinson choosing Arkansas if he's coming out of Oak Hill now?
Well, Nick Mason always talks about this, and I think he's 100% right. When Moses Moody won the state championship for North Little Rock and then went down to the prestigious Monteverde Academy, as Ken McPherson likes to call it, you don't hear about Arkansas constantly. You're not hearing about the Razorbacks. You don't have people say, hey, are you going to Arkansas? Are you going to Arkansas? Now, don't get me wrong. They're not going to stop recruiting the guys, but I don't think, and I'm 100% in agreement with Nick Mason on this, it's less likely. Now, I don't know how much likely it is getting either of these guys, but it definitely doesn't help your chances landing these dudes.
Well, and of course you can't help but see the school's located in Virginia. It's a national brand coming out of Oak Hill Academy. You've got the defending national champions there in your backyard.
And I think Musselman was talking about this, and I don't remember, it was either a podcast or something, like they're Arkansas, at one point in time, they were a national brand in basketball, but they're not anymore. And people listening, especially the older gentlemen listening around, might be cringing when they hear that. But if you look at what they've done the past 20 or so years, this is not a relevant basketball program. This is not a blue blood basketball program. And so Musselman has to be as creative as possible getting it back to that point, getting these 4 and 5 stars. Moses Moody is a 5-star. KK Robinson's a 4-star. Getting these kids to want to build something similar to what Chad Morris is doing in the football team, because Arkansas's had some success on the hardwood, just like they have on the gridiron. But it's part of getting the Jimmies and Joes, as you always refer to, high-profile recruits, onto campus, so you can get that back to that point where you're considered a blue blood program in both football and basketball.
Is Moses Moody a Jimmy or a Joe, or is he just a Moses because he's that good?
He's a dude, man. I'm telling you, I watched that kid at the AAU tournament I went to a couple months back. That guy can play both ends of the floor, just absolute highlight reel, athletic as it gets. I can't dissect it as some of the guys like Dudley, Richard, Nicky, and whoever, but just the eye test, that's probably the best thing I can give you. The eye test, he definitely passes, Phil.
Well, Moody will be making an official visit to Ohio State this weekend. The Buckeyes are one of the 7 school choices that Moody announced as his finalists on his Twitter page yesterday. Arkansas does make the final cut along with the Buckeyes, Florida, Kansas, Michigan, Oregon, and Southern California. You pretty much have almost a who's who of top-notch basketball programs right there, and Arkansas does make the cut.
And you got to be wary with Ohio State, Phil. Chris Holtmann up there is doing some pretty good things. In every interview that I've listened to with Moses Moody, he's constantly talk about Ohio State, which I know you've had a Greg Oden, a Mike Conley, and some other stud players that have come out of that program. But, man, that'd be a real bummer if you hit it up with the Buckeyes. I'm sure Arkansas fans would not be happy about that. It's like losing K.J. Hill, actually, out of North Little Rock, just like Moses Moody was. That'd be a bummer if you lost another former charging Wildcat to the Ohio State Buckeyes, just in a different sport.
Back to college football in a moment after the break, but first, Ty, I know you've got those Coors Lights on ice. Are the mountains blue yet?
Oh, they're always blue, man. And if you don't take advantage of the fact that it's basically the weekend, it's a Thursday, head over to your favorite bar, head over to your favorite gas station, get you some Coors Light, whether it's a 30-pack for the weekend or just a cold one out of the tap. Coors Light has the best and most refreshing beer. It doesn't get colder than this, whether it's cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged, it's always going to be cold when it comes to Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Phil, when the mountains turns blue, what do you need to do?
You're going to go for 2.
Exactly right. Coors Light, made to chill.
We're coming back with a break. We're going to preview some college football games on your tube or your iPad or your screen, whatever it is you're watching it on. It is on tonight. It's halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime.
Get hot summer savings now during the Labor Day sales event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler, Oklahoma. Incredible offers on an impressive selection of new 2018 still in stock and the stylish new 2019s. Huge savings through Labor Day on trucks, SUVs, cars, and minivans. Don't miss it. The Labor Day sales event going on now at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler. To view the inventory, look them up at buywilliams.com.
Protection with possibilities. Have past losses made you cautious about taking on risk with your investments? Are you concerned that your savings are not generating the returns you need? If you are interested in protecting your money and capturing potential investment growth, contact Brad Lewis at United Financial Advisors at 242-7466 or ufadvisors.net to see whether market-linked CDs may be the right solution for you.
Securities and advisory service offered through Royal Alliance Associates, member FINRA, SIPC. United Financial Advisors is a marketing destination.
This Coors Light is the perfect temperature. How can I tell just based on the sound? I can't. But I can see that the mountain on the can is blue. And when the mountain is blue, your Coors Light is perfectly cold. Coors Light is cold lagered for a crisper taste, cold filtered for brightness and clarity, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. Doesn't that sound good? Coors Light, as cold as the Rockies, available down the street. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Only 10% of collision repair shops achieve ICAR Gold Class status, the highest training level recognized in the industry. Evans Body Shop is proud to be one of them. We know the latest repair techniques, how to find hidden damage, and repair your car's critical safety features so they work properly again. We invest in training because we would never cut corners with your family's safety at stake, and neither should you. Get your vehicle repaired at Evans Body Shop, where your safety is our top priority. Evans Body Shop, 412 Gordon Avenue, Van Buren.
Where we meet the nicest people by accident.
Elite Roofing is a locally owned roofing contractor. If you're building a new home or maybe need a new roof on your existing home, Elite Roofing can take care of you. Elite Roofing is known for their dependability and reliability. Just ask any of their satisfied customers. They are licensed and insured, and references are available upon request. If you need a roof, call your local roofing contractors. Elite Roofing, 478-8668. That's 478-8668. Elite Roofing, 478-8668.
True Grit Running Company is
is where perseverance meets passion. Whether you're training for your next marathon or just comfortable shoes to keep up with your kids, we have the gear to help you reach your goals. With our slow motion gait analysis and our extensive product knowledge, we have the right pair of shoes for you. We also carry apparel, nutrition, hydration accessories, injury prevention gear, and recovery products. We offer classes, workshops, and group runs. Lace up, show up, and get your grit on. True Grit Running Company, 6808 Rogers Avenue, Suite B, behind Chick-fil-A.
Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
McFadden. Say goodbye. Darren McFadden, 80 yards, touchdown.
Welcome back to Halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. Phil Elson along with Ty Richardson. Get with us on the Cherokee Casino hotline, 877-377-6963. That's for a call or a text. We will text you back if we feel like it, and if you offer something that is worth a text back to you as well. Hey, college football season really starts again today. I know you had a little bit of an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre, whatever you want to call it, this past Saturday. 30 Division I college football games are on the docket, and I think a lot of people will be paying attention to Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Now, Clemson hasn't lost an opening game since they were defeated by Georgia in 2014, also the same year that the Yellow Jackets last defeated Clemson, beat them 28-6 in the middle of November. Clemson's dominated the series of late. They've won 6 of the last 7 against Georgia Tech. Of course, the Ramblin' Wreck debuting head coach Jeff Collins, who inherits a team from Paul Johnson that was designed for the triple option, and Jeff Collins did not run the triple option in his 2 years at Temple. Clemson favored by 37 points. And also this will be the debut of the ACC Network's live game broadcast. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck are on the call. Maria Taylor and Katie George will be on the sideline. Now, it's been a long time since a defending national champion lost their first game of the year. Ty, and I teased you with this a little bit going into our show today.
Cards on the table. Did not look it up. Probably should have.
Do you want to take a crack? Because it's one of these like trivia questions that nobody's going to really, I think, know this.
Give me, okay, so before the show, you said 20th century. Narrow it. Give me a 20-year gap that I have a shot at.
Okay, so it's not in the last 20 years, but it's pretty close to the last 20 years. So it'd be in the 90s. You want to give? Can I give you a 10-year period there?
Yeah, it's in the 90s. Okay, so that would have been like Florida or Nebraska, or are either of those right?
No, but you're close with one of the Nebraska titles.
Florida, Nebraska. Who else won in the 90s? Michigan. Did Michigan win in the 90s?
Bingo! There it is. Okay.
Third time's a charm, baby.
Michigan and Nebraska split the 97 national championship.
Let's go.
And, of course, so many national champions open the season with an FCS opponent or with a group of 5 team. But the 1998 Michigan Wolverines opened at Notre Dame. So, and they lost that game 36-20. They lost the next game as well to Syracuse. And then ended up, finishing with 10 wins, and they beat the Razorbacks that year in the Citrus Bowl. So do you know who the starting quarterback was of that game? The last defending national champion to lose the next year, to lose their opening game was quarterbacked by Tom Brady.
So was it that? Who was his backup that was dubbed as like the Michigan star that he was having to go back and forth on? That
was Drew Henson.
Drew Henson. That's it. I knew it was Henson was the last name. I couldn't. Was that year that they were battling, or was it another year?
I think it was the year before.
Okay.
That they more or less battled for that.
Yeah,
so
TB.
That's incredible.
Man,
you think of the greatest quarterback in NFL history. You can have arguments about it, but I think Brady's the one, and yet he's the last quarterback to lose the opening game defending a national championship. These two things don't go together.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is in any luck or in any chance of that happening. I say luck. It would be bad luck. That's just not going to happen tonight. They got too much talent. I know that they lost a lot on defense. I think they lost 3 first-rounders on their defensive line, which is just incredible to think about, that there was that much talent in one football team on one position group. But there's no chance Clemson loses tonight.
couple other games of note. 12th-ranked Texas A&M opens at home against Texas State. They're favored by 33. That game features our friend Tom Hart and Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik on the SEC Network. We're going to have Tom Hart with us next Tuesday because he's on the call of Arkansas Ole Miss. The Holy War is played between Utah and Brigham Young. That's 9:15 on ESPN. Utah coming in 14th ranked in the country, incredibly tied. These schools, who have never been in the same conference, have played every year since 1922 except for the 2014 season. And that was, I think, when Utah made the move to the Pac-12. And they weren't scheduled for 2015, but ended up meeting in the Las Vegas Bowl. Utes have won 8 straight meetings. Utah favored by 6. And then we spoke about the debut broadcast of ACC play-by-play.
Drum roll.
Pat McAfee is on your TV tonight. He has been hired by ESPN as a Thursday night college football analyst in the booth with play-by-play man Adam Amin and former Colts teammate Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, this is going to be a really fun broadcast to listen to because Hasselbeck is fun. Amin is a great play-by-play announcer with a terrific personality, and Pat McAfee is all personality. Cincinnati and UCLA are the game they're calling. It's in the Queen City, the Ohio River, 6 o'clock on ESPN. Cincy comes off an 11-win season. They beat UCLA in the Rose Bowl last year to open the season, and they returned 14 starters for head coach Luke Fickell, who I think could be a big-name target for any of the open coaching jobs during the offseason.
So, Phil, I don't know if you know about this dynamic, but earlier, a couple weeks ago, Pat McAfee asked both UCLA and Cincinnati if he could come out for a practice. Chip Kelly and his staff didn't respond. Fickell and his staff more than welcomed him into their camp, so he got to experience that. So I'm wondering, there's not going to be, but there might be a little favoritism when it comes to Cincinnati, hopefully beating UCLA tonight.
Well, it's something we might be paying attention to on the screen. Don't forget about Breeden RV and Power Sports. You're going to love them with their upfront and no-hassle pricing. Plus, every single RV is heavily discounted the minute it hits the lot. You are guaranteed to get the best price around. Breeden RV also offers maintenance for life at no extra charge on your new travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome. So go see Breeden RV today. They're on Alma Highway between Van Buren and Alma, or check out BreedenRV.com. We'll come back to put a cherry on the top of halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime.
Hey, this is Ted with Ed Walker's Drive-In. For more than 70 years, Ed Walker's has been the place to go for the best French dips and hand-patted hamburgers in town. Blue Plate Specials served Monday through Friday, and we're still the home of Fort Smith's only 5-pound hamburger. We're open 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. Call ahead for pickup, 783-3352. Ed Walker's Drive-In, 1500 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, where the legend lives on.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code. Lesson 42. This is how you say happy hour. It's happy hour. Let's go get some Bud Lights. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light. Crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
It's the place there's no place else like. Home. It's the circle of chairs around your fire pit, where all the do you remembers get passed around like bowls of ice cream. It's bacon and eggs in the skillet, crackling along with the laughter. It's the picture in the hall of your great-grandfather, whose mustache he willed to your son.
At Shelter Insurance, we don't just insure your home, we insure all the memories that live inside it. Find an agent near you at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Ask Marcia Cox in Fort Smith or Phil Hicks in Greenwood about Shelter's home insurance.
Do you own apartment complexes, condos, and rental property? Then you have made a great investment. Now make another great decision by calling Trinity Multifamily to help you maximize your return. Trinity Multifamily offers full-service property management, marketing, leasing, sales, and all the services to make your cash flow. Take the hassles and frustrations out of ownership and call Trinity Multifamily at 479-452-1817 or online at trinitymultifamily.com. Trinity Multifamily, your teammate in the real estate game.
Painting
your ceiling but afraid of the mess? Hurry to Metters Lumber True Value for a gallon of bright white Easy Care ceiling paint for only $12.99. This non-splatter, quick-dry formula is water-based acrylic, so it's less messy and cleans up easily with soap and water. It also comes with a 15-year warranty. Pick up this great bargain of the month, along with brushes, ladders, tarps, and other accessories to make your painting project go smoothly, while supplies last. Have questions? Just ask the painting experts at Metters Lumber True Value.
What's your next obsession? If it's diving lessons, Ocean Impact Dive Shop, Western Arkansas, and Eastern Oklahoma's premier dive shop is waiting on you. Ocean Impact is a full-service 5-star PADI dive shop offering air fills and tank inspections. The staff can answer all your questions and get you started on your underwater adventure. Ocean Impact Dive Shop, 2127 South 56th Street, Fort Smith. Don't wait. Get to Ocean Impact Dive Shop. Go get your dive on.
Metal Mart offers high-quality prefabricated metal buildings, metal roofing, custom trim shops, carports, and more. They strive to be a company where contractors as well as do-it-yourselfers are welcome. Metal Mart assists you in calculating the materials needed to complete your project, all at a rate you can afford. They have locations in Fort Smith, Mayflower, Jonesboro, Pine Bluff, and Little Rock. Or you can find them online at metalmarts.com. Metal Mart, the right material for the right price.
I'm Lisa Hinton, owner of Champ Hinton Enterprises. For nearly 50 years, the Champ Hinton name has stood for one thing: selling quality cars in a different way, taking the mumbo jumbo out of the process and making customers happy. All these years and tens of thousands of cars later, we're still here, doing business the way Champ Hinton taught us, selling to generations of families who've become part of our family. Champ Hinton Enterprises, the area's premier used car dealer. Take the Arcoma exit off I-540 or go online at champhinton.com.
Attention, please! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, offering smart looks for back to school and serving your community daily. Supercuts, we're super in style. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Jones looking, steps, throws to the end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas! Unbelievable!
Well, there is one Arkansas school, one D1 school in the state that is in action today. UCA is taking on future Razorback opponent Western Kentucky in Bowling Green. Of course, Ty Story will be backing up in that ball game against the UCA Bears. I counted 30 Division I football games that will be played today. Many of them are available on TV or on streaming services. UCF in action against Florida A&M. UCF coming in 17th ranked in the country. They have Brandon Wimbush as their quarterback now, don't they?
UCF, yeah. So he's taking over for Mackenzie Milton. Mackenzie Milton will be out this season. He almost lost his leg, man. Wow. I don't know if y'all read into that story at all, but Mackenzie Milton is trying to make a comeback for the 2020 football season. But yes, he will be out this entirety, and Brandon Wimbush will be that quarterback.
So we're gonna start our picks. And we're actually going to try it. We'll do picks. We'll do one pick today because there's just, we'll pick one game that's going on today. You have games now, Ty, over the next 5 days. You've got 30 games today, a couple handfuls of games tomorrow. Saturday is a big day, of course, and then one game each Sunday and Monday. I forget the teams that are playing Sunday and Monday, but I think it's one game each day.
Yeah, Houston's playing in Norman, taking on the Sooners. I don't remember the Monday game. I feel like the Monday game's pretty big time. I feel like they schedule Monday. It might be one of those.
I think it's Notre Dame.
Is it Notre Dame or is it Rats? I got it. We might have to look this up. Great radio right here, Phil.
Well, how much time do we have until we actually go to the break? It's Notre Dame and Louisville on Monday.
That's okay. Yeah.
Not a great game, perhaps. It's just two, one brand name and one team that's building it back from the ground up after Bobby Petrino burnt it down again. All right, so let's pick one game, and we still don't know what the loser has to do, and that's something we can kind of stew on for the next few weeks. But we're going to do at least 4 games per week. The last game that we pick is going to be like the money ball in the NBA three-point shooting contest. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati and UCLA. Cincinnati favored by 2.5 points. I'll take the Bearcats to cover at home.
Bearcats covering at home. You know what? I'm going to go the Cougs. I think they cover. They ain't going to win. They ain't going to beat Utah. Utah Lee Corso's got him as one of his college football playoff participants. But
He's got him as losing in the national championship to Bama.
So I think the Utes have a tough one in Provo tonight, and I think that they still win, but they win by less than 6. So BYU, help me out, boys.
All right, it all starts here. No, I'm not diving in freezing cold water next season. No, not going to do it. All right, Ty, great stuff today. We'll be back with you tomorrow. For Ty, I'm Phil. Now get up, get out, and get better.
Good pick, good pick.
Kids are back in school, fall is just around the corner, and at